She stood silent, pregnant and proud, until the woman who stole her husband tried to steal everything. Then her brothers came home. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because, tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. The ballroom smelled like money. Not perfume, not champagne, money. Everything shimmered. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks, and velvet ropes held back the crowd like a velvet lie. Amara stood by herself, one hand resting gently on her stomach. She was almost 7 months pregnant. Her dress, silk and midnight blue, clung to her like memory. Her eyes scanned the room, but she already knew he wasn't beside her. Again. She smiled anyway. Because that's what wives do when their husbands are billionaires. A waiter passed with flutes of gold-tinted champagne. She waved him off with a polite nod. He looked surprised. He hadn't noticed the curve of her belly until now. From across the room, flashbulbs popped. Somewhere behind her, someone laughed too loud. And then she walked in. Tall. Red dress. Gold earrings. The kind of confidence that came from destruction. The kind that smelled like fresh blood. Her name was Jenna, the business consultant. The one who always seemed to be wherever Amara wasn't. The one her husband, Dorian, said was just a client. The one who had somehow ended up in Paris with him on a last-minute board trip. She walked straight to the center of the room like she owned it. And Dorian, he met her there. Amara didn't move. Not even when he smiled at Jenna the way he used to smile at her. For a moment, the ballroom melted away. The voices, the music, the clinking glasses, it all blurred. It was just Dorian, standing there, laughing. With her. Amara turned and stepped toward the balcony. Cool air. That's what she needed. Her heels clicked quietly against the marble as she passed groups of people pretending not to look. But Jenna saw her. And Jenna followed. Outside, the city lit up like a photograph. The skyline of New York looked still. Quiet. Amara placed both hands on the railing. Her back ached, her heart more. Didn't think you'd still be here, a voice said behind her. Amara didn't answer. I thought you'd finally left. After everything. Jenna's voice was sweet. Artificial sweet. Amara turned. He's still my husband. Jenna shrugged. In name. But names change. Silence hung between them. Cold wind pressed against Amara's skin. Then Jenna took a step closer. You're brave, she said softly. Showing up here. Dressed like that. Still acting like this baby's going to keep him. Amara's breath caught. Jenna leaned in. You can pretend all you want. But you don't belong here anymore. He's moved on. You're just a photo in his old frame. Then, without warning, Jenna's heel came down on Amara's foot. Not hard, but enough to make Amara stumble back. Jenna stepped forward again. You should leave while you still have something to leave with. It wasn't a push. It wasn't even that forceful. But it was timed with precision. Amara fell. The railing caught her shoulder. Her knees buckled. The world spun. A waiter screamed. Glass shattered somewhere behind her. Someone called out her name. Not Dorian. It was a stranger. And Dorian, he stood still. Not moving. Not shouting. Not protecting. Just watching. Amara woke under white lights. Beeping machines. A plastic bracelet circled her wrist. She blinked against the blur. Pain bloomed in her lower back. Her hand flew to her stomach. The baby. A nurse stepped in. Smiling too gently. You're okay. And the baby's okay. Small scare, but we got you stabilized quickly. Tears slipped from the corners of Amara's eyes. Relief made her chest ache. She turned her head slowly. No Dorian. No flowers. No sign he'd even come. Later, a doctor entered. Calm voice. Measured words. You'll need to rest. No stress. Your baby's heartbeat is strong, but your body's telling us it needs peace. Amara nodded, but her eyes stared out the window. A gray sky hung heavy over the city. No sun. Her phone buzzed. One message. Glad you're okay. I'll come by later. Busy right now. Dorian. That was all. No, I'm sorry. No, are you in pain? Not even a love you. Amara stared at the text, then set the phone down slowly. She breathed in through her nose, out through her mouth. She remembered a story her father once told her. About lions. When one of their own is hurt, he'd said, they don't roar. They don't make a scene. They step forward. One by one. Her brothers hadn't spoken to her in almost 2 years. A family rift she hadn't dared cross. Pride, time, misunderstanding, it had kept them apart. But tonight, something was different. She picked up her phone, and for the first time in a long time, she dialed home. Have you ever seen someone stay silent when they should have spoken up? Drop it below, backhand index pointing down, we're listening. The hospital room was quiet. Too quiet. Amara stared at the ceiling. White tiles. One flickering light. The smell of bleach hung in the air like a warning. Her stomach rose and fell beneath the thin blanket. The baby was still safe. That's what they said. She wasn't sure if she believed them. A nurse knocked once before entering. How's the pain today? She asked, checking a monitor. Manageable, Amara whispered. The nurse nodded. Vitals look good. You're stronger than you think. Amara didn't respond. She didn't feel strong. She felt empty. The nurse left the room, and the silence returned. Hours passed. Maybe more. Time felt blurry. Amara's phone stayed silent. No missed calls. No new messages. Nothing from Dorian. Nothing from Jenna. She thought back to the moment it happened, the way the balcony rail felt against her spine, the gasp of the crowd, and most of all, Dorian's face. He didn't move. He didn't help. He just watched. That memory kept replaying like a broken loop. A soft knock broke her thoughts. The door opened, and her doctor walked in. Mind if I sit? He asked. She shook her head. He sat down beside the bed, folding his hands. You and your baby are okay, but we need to talk about the next few weeks. Amara listened as he explained the plan: bed rest, regular checkups, stress management. But his voice faded in and out. She was somewhere else. Amara closed her eyes and drifted back. Not to last night. To years ago. She was 17. Sitting on the porch of her childhood home in Georgia. A summer storm rolled in, thunder humming low in the sky. Her brothers, Zaire, Noel, and Julius, sat around her, eating watermelon and teasing each other. Zaire had always been the wild one. First to fight, first to protect. Noel was calculated, quiet, always thinking 2 steps ahead. Julius. He was the soft one. A natural caregiver. The peacemaker. They used to call her their heart. And now, she hadn't spoken to them in nearly 2 years. She remembered the last argument, after her engagement to Dorian. They didn't trust him. Said he moved too fast. Said his smile didn't reach his eyes. Said he looked at her like a prize, not a partner. She told them they were jealous. Told them she was a grown woman. Told them to back off. And one by one, they did. Back in the hospital, Amara opened her eyes. The ceiling was still there. The light still flickered. She reached for her phone. Her hand hesitated midair. Pride was a heavy thing. So was regret. She unlocked the screen and opened her contacts. 3 names still there. Zaire, Noel, Julius. She hovered over Zaire's number. Her thumb shook. Then, the door opened again. This time it was Dorian. He walked in slowly, dressed in a black suit, tie loosened. No flowers. No gifts. Not even a coffee. "You look better," he said, standing by the window. Amara didn't speak. "I wanted to come earlier," he added, "but work's been," he trailed off. She still didn't speak. He looked at her, really looked. "I'm sorry. About Jenna. I didn't know she'd—" "You didn't stop her," Amara said quietly. Dorian's mouth opened, then shut. "I was pregnant. She kicked me. You stood there." Her voice cracked. "I fell, and you did nothing." Dorian exhaled. "It wasn't that simple. It was that simple to me." He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm under a lot of pressure. You know how many people are watching my every move." Amara turned her head away. "Then maybe you should have married someone who didn't need protecting." Silence stretched between them. He cleared his throat. "Let's talk later. When you're feeling better." He walked out. Alone again. But this time, Amara didn't feel empty. She felt done. She picked up her phone. Pressed Zaire's name. The call rang once. Twice. Then a deep voice answered. "Hello." She closed her eyes. "Zaire. It's me." A long pause. Then, "Amara." Her voice broke. "I need you." Another pause. "I'm on my way." In a small office across town, Zaire ended the call and stood. Noel looked up from his laptop. Who was that? Zaire's face was still. "Our sister." Julius, seated by the window, blinked. "What happened?" Zaire didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket. "She's hurt." Zaire didn't drive. He flew. From Atlanta to New York, he barely spoke a word. He didn't sleep on the plane. Just sat there, arms crossed, eyes hard, replaying the sound of his sister's voice. "I need you." He hadn't heard those words in years. At the hospital, he moved fast. Signed in, found the room, ignored every person trying to stop him. Then he saw her. Amara looked small in the hospital bed. Eyes closed, skin pale, one hand resting over her belly. Zaire stood in the doorway, frozen. Guilt clawed at him. He should have been here sooner. Amara opened her eyes. Slowly. Then blinked twice, unsure if she was dreaming. "Zaire." His voice caught. "Yeah. It's me." She tried to sit up. "You came. I told you I would." She reached for his hand. He held it, gently, like he used to when they were kids. "Is the baby okay?" he asked. She nodded. "They say everything's fine, for now." Zaire looked down, jaw tight. "Who did this?" Amara hesitated. "It doesn't matter." "Amara." "It was Jenna." Zaire's face hardened. "And Dorian?" He watched. Zaire didn't say another word. He didn't need to. The silence was enough. Back in Atlanta, Noel paced his office. "She called him?" he asked. Julius nodded. "Zaire left yesterday." Noel tapped the edge of his phone. "Why not us?" "Maybe she couldn't." Noel sat down. "Then we go to her." Julius raised a brow. "That fast?" "She's our sister. She called one of us. That means she still needs all of us." Julius stood. "I'll pack." By the next morning, all 3 brothers stood in the hospital room. Zaire sat by Amara's side, still quiet. Julius stood near the window, arms crossed. Noel leaned against the wall, already calculating. Amara looked from one face to the next. Zaire spoke first. "We're here now." Julius added, "You're not alone." Noelle didn't say much. Just walked over and placed a phone on her table. "I had one of my people pull the full background on Jenna and Dorian. You need to see this." Amara frowned. "I don't want revenge." Noelle shrugged. "This isn't revenge. It's information." She looked at them all. "I don't know what I need." Zaire answered, "That's okay. We do." Later that afternoon, they sat in the hospital lounge. Julius brought tea. Zaire leaned forward, elbows on knees. Noelle had a tablet in hand. "She's been around longer than you think," Noelle said, scrolling. 2 years. Probably more. "Before the wedding?" Amara asked. He nodded. Zaire's fist clenched. "He married you while already cheating?" Julius sat beside Amara. "You don't have to process this all at once." Noelle added, "There's more." He swiped again. "Jenna's got access to multiple properties Dorian owns. His company quietly gave her a consulting role 2 months ago. Pays better than yours did." Amara's stomach turned. "I defended him," she whispered. "I left you for him." Zaire leaned forward. "And now we're here. You're our sister. That's what matters." Amara looked at them, voice trembling. "I thought I had to prove I was strong enough without you." "You are," Julius said softly. "But you don't have to be alone anymore." Tears slid down her face. She didn't hide them this time. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. Her body was tired, but her mind was loud. She stared at the ceiling. Thought about the baby. Thought about the brothers who came back. Thought about the man who didn't. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dorian. "We need to talk. When can I come?" She didn't reply. The next day, she was cleared to leave. Zaire wheeled her to the car. Julius opened the door. Noelle spoke with the nurse to finalize the paperwork. Amara felt weightless. Not free, but less trapped. At the curb, she looked at them. "Where are we going?" Zaire smiled. "Somewhere quiet." They drove to a private townhouse in the city. One of Noelle's investments. Quiet street. High security. Warm furniture. Amara sat on the couch and looked around. She exhaled. Deep. "Finally." "I don't know what I'm supposed to do now," she said. Zaire pulled up a chair. "You don't have to know today. We'll figure it out," Julius added. Noelle stood by the window. "But when the time comes, we don't just play defense. We protect you with the truth. With the facts. And if he tries to take anything from you..." Zaire finished the thought. "He'll have to go through all of us." Amara laughed, soft and short. "You sound like Dad." Zaire smiled. "He'd be mad at me for waiting this long." She looked at him. "Why did you come?" His answer was quiet. "Because you called." The townhouse was quiet. Morning light filled the kitchen. A clock ticked in the hallway. Everything felt calm, but underneath, it wasn't. Amara sat at the table, hands wrapped around a warm mug. She hadn't slept much. Her body still ached, but not as much as her chest did. Zaire leaned against the counter. Julius stood by the sink, chopping fruit. Noelle, as always, had his laptop open. "Did you talk to him?" Julius asked. Amara shook her head. "He texted again this morning. Said he wants to come see me." Zaire frowned. "He's nervous." "He should be," Noelle said without looking up. Amara stared down into her cup. "What do I say if he shows up?" Julius sat across from her. "You don't owe him anything. You owe yourself peace." Noelle added, "And your child." Later that day, Noelle called a contact, an attorney he trusted. They met in a quiet office 2 blocks away. The lawyer was calm, sharp, and knew who Dorian was. If you plan to leave him, the lawyer said to Amara, you need to act before he does. If he senses you're building a case, he'll get ahead of it. That means moving assets. That means lawyers. That means pressure. Amara looked at the floor. I don't care about his money. The lawyer nodded. Then care about yours. And your child's. Zaire sat beside her. We've got you. Back at the townhouse, Amara walked into the guest room and opened the closet. She had brought almost nothing from the hospital. No clothes. No photos. No journals. Her life felt like it had been wiped clean. She sat on the bed and let her hands fall to her belly. You're all I need, she whispered. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. That night, Julius made dinner. Zaire put his phone down for once. Noel didn't open his laptop. They sat around the table like old times. Amara couldn't stop watching their faces. I miss this, she said softly. Zaire grinned. Told you. Family over everything. Noel raised his glass. To new starts. They toasted with sparkling water and quiet smiles. The next morning, Jenna made the news. An exposé ran on a major blog, one of Noel's media contacts. It outlined her sudden wealth, her luxury trips, her company contracts tied to Dorian's business. The tone was measured, factual, but sharp. The headline didn't scream. It whispered. And the whispers spread fast. By noon, board members from Dorian's company were calling him. By 2, Jenna's name was trending for the wrong reasons. Amara watched it all from the couch. Part of her felt sick. The other part, lighter. Dorian called that evening. Zaire answered. She's not taking your calls. You don't speak for her. Zaire's voice stayed calm. I do until she's ready. She's my wife. She's our sister. Silence. Then Dorian said, Tell her I want to fix this. Zaire ended the call without replying. Later, Amara stood at the window, looking out at the street. Noel joined her. You okay? She nodded. I keep thinking about the moment it all broke. The night at the gala. I saw it coming, you know. The shift. The silence. Noel looked out too. You stayed longer than most would've. I kept hoping he'd remember who I was. Not the wife. The woman. The partner. But he forgot. Noel didn't say much. Just put a hand on her shoulder. Then let him go. 2 days later, a letter arrived. It wasn't from Dorian. It was from a lawyer. Divorce terms. Amara sat with it in her hands for a long time. She didn't open it. Not yet. Julius found her like that. You ready? He asked. She looked up. Almost. He sat beside her. You can take your time. But when you do read it, don't read it alone. She smiled, small but real. Thanks, Jules. That night, she dreamed of her father again. He was in the kitchen, stirring something on the stove. Her younger self sat at the counter, kicking her feet. He turned to her, face warm. You don't have to be fearless, he said. Just honest. That's stronger. She woke up with tears on her cheeks. In the morning, Amara finally opened the envelope. The terms were cold. Businesslike. Meant to protect Dorian more than her. She passed the papers to Noel. He read them. Then looked at her. He thinks you're still scared. I'm not. Good, he said. Then we can move forward. The invitation came in a thick white envelope. Gold seal. Expensive ink. The kind of detail meant to impress. You're invited. Dorian Cross Foundation Charity Gala. Saturday, 8 p.m. The St. Cloud Hotel, Manhattan. Amara stared at it. Zaire leaned over her shoulder. He's still holding this event? Julius shook his head. That man has no shame. Noel smirked. He thinks if he smiles wide enough, people will forget. Amara looked up. Then maybe we remind them. The brothers didn't argue. They just nodded. 2 days later, Amara stood in front of a mirror. Simple black dress. No jewelry. No flash. Just strength. She took a deep breath and placed her hands on her stomach. You ready? Julius asked from the doorway. She turned. Let's go. The gala buzzed with lights and cameras. Reporters smiled through rehearsed lines. Wealth filled the room like perfume. Guests laughed too loud, posed too perfectly. Jenna stood near the front, greeting donors with polished charm. Her red gown shimmered under the lights. She didn't see Amara walk in. Not right away, but everyone else did. Heads turned. Eyes widened. Amara Cross had arrived. Pregnant. Graceful. Unbothered. She walked slowly, her brothers behind her, Zaire in black, Noel in navy, Julius in gray. Calm. Controlled. Watchful. People whispered. Some smiled. Others looked away. Dorian saw her from across the room. His expression flickered. Shock. Guilt. Something else. He moved toward her. Amara, he said softly. You look whole, she finished. Yes, I do. He glanced at the crowd. Can we talk? In front of them? She asked. Isn't that what this is about? He frowned. I didn't invite you to be embarrassed. She held his gaze. Then maybe you shouldn't have sent divorce papers with my name spelled wrong. Gasps echoed near the stage. Jenna approached, smile tight. You've made your point, Amara. Amara turned slowly. You're still here. Jenna didn't answer. Zaire stepped forward. Let's keep it civil. Amara shook her head. No. Let's keep it honest. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded paper. I brought my own speech. A hush fell over the room. Amara stepped up to the microphone. She didn't need to raise her voice. My name is Amara Cross. Some of you know me. Most of you know my husband. She paused. Or I should say, my soon-to-be ex-husband. Murmurs. A camera flashed. She went on. I've stayed quiet for months. I believed that protecting someone meant standing beside them, even when they weren't standing beside me. I was wrong. She looked at Dorian. And I was loyal, even when I knew he wasn't. Jenna shifted behind her. But this isn't about revenge, Amara said. It's about truth. I've spent too long letting other people speak for me. Tonight, I speak for myself. She stepped back. The crowd was silent. Then, applause. Soft at first, then louder. Real. Respectful. Outside, under the hotel's stone awning, Amara leaned against the wall. The air felt lighter. Zaire joined her. You sure you're okay? She nodded. I think I needed that more than I thought. Julius handed her a water bottle. You handled that with grace. Noel checked his watch. You'll trend by midnight. She laughed. I don't care. Then her smile faded. I just wanted to be seen. You were, Zaire said. The real you. They rode back to the townhouse in silence. Not tense, just tired. At the door, Amara turned to them. Thank you. Zaire grinned. Any time. Julius leaned down, resting a hand on her shoulder. We've got a long road ahead. Amara nodded. But I'm not walking it alone. Noel added, we're just getting started. Do you think dignity can be more powerful than revenge? Drop your thoughts below. We're reading every word. This is where the truth ripples outward, and consequences finally land. For Dorian, for Jenna, and even for Amara, as she lets go of what once held her. The article dropped the next morning. Noel didn't warn her. He just sent a quiet text. "It's out." Amara opened the link. It wasn't loud. No bold headlines. No angry accusations. Just facts, photos, receipts. Clear timelines. Direct language. Carefully sourced. A man at the top. A mistress in the middle. A wife pushed aside. By noon, it had over 1 million views. Dorian called twice. She didn't answer. Jenna called once. Zaire answered and hung up. Then came the email. "Amara, I'm losing everything. Please talk to me." She closed her laptop. By the end of the week, investors pulled out. One board member resigned. 2 others gave statements to the press. Dorian's company stock dropped 14% overnight. He'd spent years building his brand on image, power, family, control. Now, all 3 were cracking. Meanwhile, Jenna lost her consulting role. Her face stopped showing up on magazine pages. Invites dried up. No more red carpets. No more insider access. Noel said, "She wasn't built to last." Zaire added, "She got too bold." Amara stayed quiet. Not out of fear. Out of choice. She didn't need to tear anything down. It was collapsing on its own. One afternoon, Amara sat on the townhouse balcony, sipping tea. Julius joined her, handing over a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked. He smiled. "You'll want to open it." Inside was a black-and-white ultrasound photo. From the hospital. "You asked the nurse to print it," he said. "Said you didn't remember if you got one." She ran her fingers over the image. A small curve. A heartbeat frozen in ink. "I can't believe this little person lived through all of it," she whispered. Julius looked at her. "So did you." Later that night, Dorian showed up. He didn't knock first. Just rang the bell and waited. Zaire opened the door. "You're not welcome here," he said flatly. Dorian's voice cracked. "I just want to talk to her." Julius stepped up behind Zaire. "You had your chance." Dorian looked past them. "Please. I lost everything. I lost her. I need." "Enough." It was Amara. She stood in the hallway, hand resting on her belly. Zaire moved aside, but stayed close. She looked Dorian in the eyes. "What do you want?" He stepped forward. "To fix this. To start over." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because you're alone now." His face fell. "Because I miss you." "You don't miss me," she said. "You miss control. You miss the comfort." "Amara, please." She looked at him, really looked. And for the first time, she didn't feel anger. She felt nothing. "No," she said. "You don't get to ask for more. I gave everything. And when I needed you, you stood still. I made a mistake." She nodded. "And now you live with it." Zaire closed the door. After, the townhouse was still. No one spoke. They didn't need to. Amara walked into the living room and sat down. Her breath was steady. Julius brought her a glass of water. "You did what you had to do," he said. Noel added, "He wasn't expecting strength." Amara shook her head. "He never was." That night, she dreamed of her childhood porch. Her brothers were there, older but the same. She sat between them, eating cold watermelon, the wind brushing her face. Peace. That's what it felt like. Not loud. Not perfect. Just peace. The beach house sat at the edge of a quiet town in South Carolina. No skyscrapers. No cameras. Just waves, wind, and time. Julius had suggested the break. "You need space. Somewhere soft." Amara agreed. She packed 2 bags and left with him early that Monday morning. Zaire and Noel stayed in New York to handle everything else. The house was light and open. Every window held a view of the ocean. The furniture was simple. Soft blankets, clean walls, wooden floors that didn't creak. It felt nothing like her old life, which was exactly the point. Mornings were slow. Julius made eggs and toast. Amara sat on the porch and watched seagulls fight over scraps. The baby kicked more now, gentle thumps that felt like tiny reminders. "I'm still here," the baby seemed to say. And so was she. Some days she walked along the shore, alone. The sand was cold under her feet. The wind pulled at her scarf. Her body felt heavy, but her mind felt light. She stopped once and looked out at the gray-blue water. "I thought I needed noise," she whispered. "But this is better." She closed her eyes. One afternoon, she sat at a small cafe in town. The waitress recognized her from the gala video. "You spoke so well," the woman said, pouring tea. "You were brave." Amara smiled. "Thank you." The woman leaned closer. "You gave a lot of women something to hold on to." Amara didn't know what to say, so she nodded. Sometimes, words weren't needed. Back at the house, she found a notebook on the nightstand. Blank pages. She wrote one sentence. "I survived what didn't love me." She closed the book. That was enough for now. Julius stayed quiet most days. He read, cooked, walked with her when she asked. They didn't talk about Dorian, or Jenna, or money. They talked about music, childhood, their mother's cornbread. The time Amara beat Zaire in a footrace and he didn't speak to her for an hour. Laughter came back in small doses. It stayed longer each time. A week passed. Then 2. Her phone buzzed less. The world moved on. She let it. One night, she lit a candle and sat by the window. Outside, the stars hung low. The ocean whispered secrets. She placed both hands on her belly. "I don't need everything figured out," she said quietly. "I just need you to come into a world where your mother knows her worth." A tear slipped down her cheek. Not from sadness. From peace. The next morning, a letter arrived. From Noel. Inside was a check, an investment transfer in her name. Below it, he'd written, "This is yours. Not his. Not anyone else's. Build something new, if you want to." She stared at it. Not for the money. For the trust. Another envelope came later that week. No name on the front. Just a folded card inside. "Healing looks good on you. J." She didn't need to guess. That afternoon, she sat on the sand again. Waves lapped at her toes. Her hands rested on her stomach. She closed her eyes and let the sun warm her skin. She was alone, but not lonely. She was quiet, but not small. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't surviving anymore. She was living. The small town had one grocery store, one gas station, and one community clinic. It sat near the edge of the marsh, tucked between a church and a post office. Old building. Blue shutters. Kind staff. Julius drove Amara there for her checkup. It was calm inside. Soft music played from a dusty speaker in the corner. A young nurse led her back and smiled the whole time. "Your doctor will be right in," she said. A few minutes later, he walked in. Dr. Malcolm Wynne. Late 30s. Calm eyes. Light beard. Hands clean and steady. He smiled. "Mrs. Cross." Amara smiled back. Just a little. "Just Amara now." "Okay," he said gently. "Amara." The checkup was routine. Heartbeat strong. Measurements healthy. Baby right on schedule. Malcolm asked questions, took notes, listened more than he spoke. At the end, he looked at her and said, "You're doing well. I hope you know that." Amara nodded. "Trying. That's more than enough." She saw him again the next week. Then again the week after that. Each time, their conversations grew a little longer. He never asked too much. Never pushed. But he listened. Closely. One morning, she stayed after her appointment to ask about a local birth class. He walked her through the options. "Do you need help getting there?" he asked. "I'll manage," she said. Then paused. "But thank you." He smiled. "If that ever changes, I'm around." On a rainy afternoon, they crossed paths outside the cafe. He held the door open for her. She thanked him and turned to leave, but he spoke. "You ever try the lemon cake here?" She shook her head. "Not yet." He smiled. "It's the best thing on the menu." She glanced inside, then back at him. "Then let's try it." They sat by the window, talked about books, favorite childhood games, why he left Chicago to come to a small southern town. "My mom got sick," he said. "I came home to take care of her. Stayed after she passed." "I'm sorry," Amara said. "She lived well. No regrets." He looked at her gently. "Not everyone can say that." She held his gaze for a second, then nodded. "You're right." They didn't exchange numbers. Not yet. But the next visit felt easier. The small touches, the way he greeted her, the quiet care, started to feel familiar. Warm. Julius noticed first. "You're smiling more." Amara looked up from her tea. "I am." He nodded. "Your eyes are different." She shrugged. "I met someone." Julius smiled. "Is it serious?" "No," she said quickly, then paused. "But it's good." He didn't ask more. He didn't need to. One morning, she stood on the back porch with her phone in her hand. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then she typed, "Thank you for the cake. It was the best thing on the menu." She stared at the message, then hit send. 2 minutes later, a reply came. "I've got a list of other favorites. You free for a walk sometime?" Her heart paused, then picked up again. "Tomorrow." They met at the edge of the beach trail. No cars. Just sand and sky. He brought 2 waters. She brought silence. They walked slowly, the wind moving through the grass around them. "I never planned on starting over," she said quietly. "Neither did I," he said. "But it feels like maybe." "You are," he finished. They didn't hold hands, didn't kiss. But something passed between them. Something calm. Something steady. It didn't spark like fire. It settled like peace. That night, Amara sat at the table and opened her notebook. She wrote, "Love isn't loud. Sometimes it just walks beside you." She closed the book, smiling. The backyard was filled with soft music, folding chairs, and bright yellow flowers. A breeze moved through the trees, carrying the scent of grilled food and sugar. It wasn't loud. It wasn't grand. It was exactly what she wanted. Amara sat under a wide white umbrella, both hands resting on her belly. A table nearby held cupcakes, lemonade, and a cake with soft white icing that read, "Welcome, little one." Julius brought her a glass of water. "You good?" he asked. She nodded. "I keep thinking I'll wake up and none of this will be real." He smiled. "It's real." Zaire came over next, carrying a gift bag and a playful grin. "I didn't wrap it. Don't judge." She laughed. "I never do." Noel arrived last, with a small box and a handwritten card. Inside the box was a key. "To your own place," he said. "Whenever you're ready." Amara blinked. "You bought me a house?" He nodded. "No strings." Just something yours. She hugged him hard. The guests arrived slowly. Old friends. A few women from the clinic. The kind cafe waitress. Even the nurse from the hospital who had held her hand that night. Then, near the back gate, he appeared. Malcolm. Simple button-up shirt. Fresh haircut. A quiet smile. He didn't wave or make a scene. Just walked over and nodded. I brought diapers, he said. She grinned. That's the most romantic thing I've heard in months. As the sun dipped lower, Amara stood with a hand on her belly and looked around. This wasn't the life she planned. But it was the life she chose. And she was proud of that. A few people gave small speeches. Julius told a story from childhood that made everyone laugh. Zaire raised a toast. Noel stood in the back, smiling but quiet, just like always. Then Amara spoke. Just a few words. I didn't think I'd make it through this year. I thought the pain would stay. That the silence I felt in that hospital room would never end. She paused. But today, I'm not alone. And I'm not afraid. She looked at each of her brothers. You showed up when I couldn't stand. You believed in me when I forgot who I was. And to the people I've met since, thank you for reminding me what good feels like. Her voice broke. But she didn't cry. She smiled. Later, after the food and the gifts and the hugs, she sat on the porch steps while the sky turned orange and blue. Malcolm sat beside her. Neither of them said anything for a while. Then she spoke. I don't know what this is. Us. You don't have to, he said. She looked over. You okay not knowing? He nodded. As long as we're honest. And gentle with each other. She looked down at her hands. I never thought I'd trust anyone again. You don't have to rush. She nodded. Then leaned her head gently on his shoulder. In the distance, the waves rolled in and out. Steady. Familiar. Inside the house, laughter rose. On the porch, Amara closed her eyes and breathed deep. She didn't need every answer. She just needed this moment. And it was enough. Have you ever found something beautiful after losing something big? We'd love to hear your story. Drop it below. Backhand index pointing down. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can never imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.